steering dampers. I think now's the time. I first heard about Maydena from some friends at SRAM. My wife's Australian. We were down here for the holidays, and one of her school friends actually invited us to come down and go riding for 2 days. And we were like, this is hands down one of the best bike parks in the world. And I've been lucky enough to ride in a lot of bike parks around the world through both my career at SRAM RockShox and Cannondale. One thing led to another, and we ended up buying what we would consider a fixer-upper investment property with no intentions of moving here in any way, shape, or form. But then through some decisions, we wanted to kind of change up our lifestyle. No joke, went from having an agreement to start a new job on a Saturday night to that next Wednesday, I quit my job. And then 6 months later, we moved down here. When I was at SRAM and RockShox, I was in charge of the Black Box program, which is their race development program. And in the early 2000s, we explored steering dampers and did some testing on it. And I was into the concept and wanted to move forward with it. But we made the decision to go and move on to some other projects. Fast forward a whole bunch of years later, when I'm working for Cannondale, I'm on my first ride on RockShox Zeb. And I'm at our local bike park trying to do a high line with an off-camber route, and I just got pinged off of that line, which occasionally happens. But I was like, oh man, this fork is great, it's stiff, and I love it in the corners and under loading, but like I really don't like getting pinged. And I was like, all of a sudden I was like, steering dampers, I think now's the time. Like these bikes are so stiff, so fast, so refined. Got a steering damper on the bike, went right back up there a few weeks later, exact same line, 100% of the time I can maintain that line. Whereas it's about 30% of the time I was getting knocked off of it with the damper off. So as a human, if you hit a hole that you weren't expecting, you get pressure in your palm, it's gonna take you about 1/3 of a second before you start to counteract that. And 1/3 of a second at the speeds we travel, that's at least a bike length. The damper can react instantly to any of those things. Overall, what that results in is unwanted movement, stuff you're not planning on happening, the front wheel doing this. We reduce that by 54% through a hydraulic damper. So it really makes the bike far more calm, far more controlled. So this is it's a fully sealed hydraulic rotary vane damper where the shaft is essentially connected to the frame, and then the body rotates with the steer. So as you turn, the damper's doing this, and it's creating damping by reducing the volume over here. But after you get past 75 degrees, we open up the damping so you're never fighting the damper when you're doing slow speed tight stuff. And then return to center is always free, so you're never fighting to where your bars need to be. From our little shop here, it's 45 seconds to get in the lift line or be on dirt. You've got one of the biggest bike parks in the world. You're in a town. You can live here, afford to be here, and do the development like instantly, essentially. It allows us to sneak out really quick, check things out super fast, which we wouldn't be able to do. So we probably actually increase the overall number of test sessions we do because we can do it so quickly and get back to the shop and change stuff over. And the convenience of all of it is just kind of insane. The steering damper really shines in really rough stuff. T-trees is kind of notorious for being kind of a rock garden. So it has a lot of high frequency movements. That one's great for testing because it's really noticeable whether you have the damper on or the damper off. We also use Old Mate copper for the same reasons. There's quite a bit of deflections. There's some sections of off camber, which are also really good for that. Blown out berms is a really important factor for us too, because that extra traction and control through a really rough berm. But having the ability to have a run and be able to actually mix in every one of these aspects is pretty amazing, as well as being able to hit a whole series of different types of dirt with different types of traction also allows us to kind of get a very broad experience in just a single lap. You know, when we got here, first I was blown away. I'm at the top of a mega mountain range. We descend down, and then we go down and we go into the beer garden, and we start seeing people that we either know or we're friends of friends. And we're like, immediately just felt welcome and people like similar interests and sense of humor, and it just felt just really comfortable in this beautiful community. And I think that beer garden is something special that not every or many bike parks have, this kind of central hub where everybody's hanging out and sharing their stories from their ride, and they're just having a laugh. For our son, it's really great because all the people in town know him. He knows the people in town. He gets to interact with adults on a more adult level. He's 6 years old, but he walks in the park, says hello to everybody by name. And we think that's a really special thing that you don't always get to have depending on where you're living.